Alright, so next up is the bind feature. You can bind your aircraft by going into this mode and selecting bind. You can see it's trying to bind, but I don't have a receiver in bind mode, so it's going to fail. Bind failed. You can also bind by turning down and holding down button I where it says bind. Camera's not focusing on it, but it's there. That's how I usually bind. You can do it either way. Analog switch setup. I've never done anything with this. I would probably recommend leaving it alone or reading the manual. Don't know what it does, so let's skip it. System settings. This is where you would adjust your contrast, your backlight, what mode your radio is. If most people fly mode 2, elevator, aileron, rudder, throttle. Mode 1 is where your throttle's over here and elevator's here. That's not part of what we're doing today. LiPo, you set your alarm voltage at 6.4, that's the default. Change your language. If you leave your transmitter on and don't touch anything for 10 minutes, it'll start beeping. You can adjust that. System sounds, vibrator, trim style, just several things you can play around with, nothing too critical. The next page is where you get your serial number for setting up on Airware, and here you can see I've got version 1.02. So I did all that online. Calibrate, I've never played with that, so let's leave it alone. Cancel, get back out of here. So next is the transfer SD card. It's pretty cool. This radio has an SD card built into the battery area. You can see it's booted up, it's ready. Options. Import model, that's where you'd select one off the SD card. Import all models. It would overwrite your transmitter's models with whatever is on the SD card. Be careful with that. Export model would send from the radio to the SD card whatever model you select. Export all models. I use that to do backups after, maybe before an event, after I make changes. And then I'd go on the computer and save those files, and maybe in some kind of folder, called archive or backup files or something like that, where you lose your transmitter or you even just want to share the file, you can have access to it. So let's get out of here. That's it on system setup. So we've gone through the list. Like I said before, they lay this out where if you just go through the list in order and have a good idea of what you're trying to accomplish, you can do it. There was a little bit we needed to do yet. Since we went through here in the channel assign, we only had 10 channels, so we still need to get the brake and gear channel assigned. So that'll be our channels 11 and 12 on the KingCat program. So when we went into the frame rate and selected X Plus active, that opened us up the 8 additional channels. So we need to go back to now channel assign, and you'll see when we go through those 2 pages, we've got a new page, X Plus config. So X Plus 1 we're going to assign to switch A. So that's going to be our landing gear switch. And next will be X Plus 2, and we're going to assign that right here on the right lever. So we're going to keep going. You can see what all is available here. Right lever. I'm just going to go past it to show you what all is there. Pretty cool. So right lever. There we go. So X Plus 1 or channel aux 6 will be our gear, and X Plus 2 or aux 7 will be our brakes. So what we've done is we put all our primary controls, including nose wheel steering, on the best channels, the 1 through 10, and we put our more, less important, although they're still important, but they don't need to be 2048. They will be if we use a 12-channel receiver and plug them into aux 6 and 7, but even if we use an X Plus module, they would be I believe 512, and plenty quick, good enough resolution for any gear or brake servo application. So let's get back out of here. So I hit back again, took us to that opening screen. As you can see, I got now 3 flight modes. It says King Cat. Let's enter. I just push that button down, the rolly button. And here we can go through and look at our servo setup. So this is where you're going to make all your servo adjustments, travel adjustments, sub trim, reverse, speed, absolute travel. So if you had some kind of mix like crow and the aileron with the crow activated and stick being deflected, if it was traveling too far in binding, you could reduce the travel on that given channel here. No reason to mess around with that right now. You'll have to just try that on your own model. Balance on throttle, never use this, don't think we need it on a jet. Maybe if you had a twin or something. So what's kind of cool to talk about here? Let's just look at this for a second. On the throttle, you can see the stick's down and the box is in the low part. Let's run that number down, doesn't matter what. I put it to 70. I move the stick up, you can see the box goes up to the top. Let's increase it. Alright, cool, 125. I brought it back to middle, right around middle, and see how both are boxed? Now I can make adjustments to both. Yep, because I went above half, it changed it. But say I just want to get back to home, 100% in both directions, I just hit clear. That's a trick some people don't know about. There you know about it. So we went through all the features of this, the servo setup, travel, blah, blah, blah. We got our channels 1 through 10. Here we got X+. So now we have our travels, sub trims, everything else we saw on the other page. Got a little warning on my camera, there we go. But it also showed our new servo monitor. So I'm going to wiggle this right, and you can see our brake servo, X+2 moving, and then our gear one. I'm flicking switch A right now. So everything's working like we wanted. So I'm going to get out of here by hitting list. Next up is dual rate, expo. You'd select your surface that you want to change, your rate, expo. Again here, you can hold the stick over so you can get more or less expo or rate in either direction. I follow the convention of, on my dual rates, I do elevator, aileron, and see if I can position rudder. So what I would do is select aileron would be switch F. So as you can see, you could put it on any of these switches, flight modes, there. You can see as I'm flicking the switch, this is switching what curve we're on, and you would simply create, see how negative expo makes it more coarse in the beginning. So on JR Spectrum, we use positive expo. And I flip the switch, now I can put another value in. But I'm going to clear these out just so you guys can enter your own dual rates and expos for your own King Cats. I'm trying to keep this program pretty generic. So I'm going to hit back, get out of here. Differential, you can do differential. You can have different differentials, pretty cool. So that's to correct like a roll that's skewing. If the airplane doesn't roll axially, you play with differential. Next is throttle cut. This would be emergency shutdown. So you can put it on a switch. You could do several different things. I'd leave it alone if you're flying a turbine. Last thing you want is to accidentally bump something and shut off your engine. So let's get back. Throttle curve. This is where you would set up throttle curve. As you can see, I'm just messing around here. We're going to lower the midpoint down, so that would be a pretty goofy throttle curve, but you could theoretically, set up your engine where you would have perfectly linear thrust if you're so inclined.